I find myself in Hawaii, driving the 2024 Grand Highlander. This is all about cruise. I'm on Hawaii time now, and it's just about cruising. Well, let's start at the beginning. 6 SUVs from Toyota now. That includes the BZ4X, the Corolla Cross, the RAV4, the Highlander, now the Grand Highlander, and the Sequoia at the very top end. And you'll notice I didn't even mention the 4Runner. You thought that Toyota didn't need the Grand Highlander. You didn't know that there was this slice right between the Highlander and the Sequoia. And you might ask, why the Grand Highlander? Why do we need this? Well, are you a millennial? Do you have a growing family? How many kids do you have? Do the grandparents come visit whether you like it or not, and you have to deal with people and gear and family, and you need something just a little bit bigger than the Highlander, but not quite as much or expensive as the Sequoia? The Grand Highlander is for you.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
I'm in the Hybrid Max Platinum all-wheel drive version, which is the most fully loaded Grand Highlander you can buy. It is just under $60,000. Toyota says this is all about family, and I'm surprised that the Fast and Furious franchise hasn't picked up on this to fill it with family. The Highlander has been around a while, and it does have good space, but this is just a little bit bigger. When you fold that third row, you get a lot of space. And then the second row, 98 cubic feet back there of space for your gear. 7 suitcases stacked in the back can fit in this thing. Up to 8 people, so 7 or 8 people in this. It's almost minivan size in that sense. Look how easy it is to get in the back seat there. They're all about the step in and making that seat fold or slide forward so the third row is easily accessible. And then a removable center console in the back seat, right here in the back seat. Okay. There's a blue C8 Corvette right there. There's a Stingray here in Kona. That is cool. Yeah, see, everywhere you go, people want a good sports car. And I love sports cars. But then when it does come to the need, this is what you didn't know that you needed. However, if Toyota didn't build this, I do feel like they'd be leaving money on the table. There is a gas version, 265 horsepower from a 2-liter 4. It gets pretty good gas mileage, 24 combined. But then when you step up to the hybrid, it costs more, but you get a lot less power. So you're down to 243 horsepower, only 175 pound-feet of torque. That is the sweet spot for MPG. If you want good miles per gallon, that is the one to look for. 36 miles to the gallon combined. That is really good for something that seats 7 or 8 people. So the gas engine in the hybrid models can be selected with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive configurations. It is this one, the Hybrid Max Platinum. This is all-wheel drive. That's all you can get. You're back down to a 2.4-liter engine, but you do get that electric motor assist for a combined total of 362 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. That's right, when properly equipped, you can tow up to 5,000 pounds with this thing.
If you're watching because you want a Grand Highlander, you can use Autotempest.com to search all the car markets and research inventory at dealers. So if you're looking for Grand Highlanders or any of Toyota's SUVs, Autotempest.com/everyday can get you the help you need. Autotempest.com. All the cars. One search.
And even though this does have off-road mode right down here in the center console, you've got mud and sand and rock mode, and it does have hill descent control over here too. I don't know that you're doing any real rock crawling. There might be some beach activity in this. It's got to be a little bit more rugged. And the difference between this and the Sequoia at the very top end, well, the Sequoia is, of course, body on frame. It's a Land Cruiser underneath. That is the more serious off-roading, somebody with more money, maybe a little bit older demographic, wants to tow more, whereas this is very much aimed at new and growing families. You want something just above, the step above, hose it out kind of interior. It's got to be pretty nice, but still very functional. The most important thing is comfort and features. Because if I were tasked with designing this, yeah, you have to meet the market needs and what people are buying, and then introduce things that people didn't know they needed. I mean, that's the whole concept of the Grand Highlander. It's kind of interesting that this is 7 or 8 people, sort of minivan size. As a matter of fact, it's built in the same factory in Indiana that the Sienna minivan is built in. So as a designer, I always approach vehicles like these, not from a this has to be really great to drive standpoint, but from more of a design challenge standpoint. Here's where the design part lets me down, because this I feel like is practically invisible. Now, the front end is very a current Toyota, and it does take a lot of consideration from the bold off-road shapes that we're seeing. Yes, it does. But then around the body side, all you get is really the emphasized wheel arches. But they say more off-road than this is really capable of doing. If you're considering doing off-road with your SUV, buy a Sequoia. It's great for skiing, great for snow, great for bad weather. That's where most people will use it. It's very aggressive front and back. There's some good shapes. I do like the headlight design. The grille is massive. It's very bold and upright. But then you get around to the body side and you see that shoulder line changes shape right at the rearview mirror here. It goes from that hood line and then changes shape to make a broader surface, terminating at the D-pillar, and it looks decent, but it's not going to catch your eye. This is one of those SUVs that you can buy and have for a long time. That is the entire point of this. I mean, this is not the tough off-roader kind of aesthetic. That's not what Toyota's trying to do here. With all these SUVs that Toyota builds, we should make a ruggedness scale. And what's most interesting is when you get in, available on the top trim level here, do you see this plinth right here on top of the steering wheel column, this knob? That is facial recognition that Toyota is introducing in the Grand Highlander that will change all of the driver settings. Once you opt in to your facial recognition and being approved, it will set all your radio stations, all your settings in the MMI, your seat settings, everything that is personal to you can be customized as soon as you get in, which is a little freaky and kind of cool all at the same time. No tack on the hybrid here, Hybrid Max. When you're driving, you get a pretty interesting readout. You can see what's happening to your power distribution here. When you stop caring about RPMs in your life, you buy an SUV. The thing about most 5-seat SUVs is that they've been designed without extending the wheelbase, and they don't consider that cargo space behind the third row. I feel like many third row SUV designers and companies have just come out with 3 rows and made it in the marketplace, and they've forgotten about the cargo space behind the third row. Now you have a problem. If you filled all 3 rows with people, you have no place for your stuff. That's the Grand Highlander sweet spot. It still considers all your gear plus 3 rows, and you don't have to go quite so big as a Suburban, an Expedition, or a Sequoia. A tray for your crap. Look at all this. That's going to get filled up, and every nook and cranny, every cubby that you see in here, that is going to get filled with crumbs and crap, and will stay that way forever. And then there's this thing way down in here. Look how far I can stick my arm down in here. Look at this. It goes way down in there. I'm just kidding. No, it's huge. It's really impressive. There's a lot of storage space in here. This is only going to be offered in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico, at least for now. And everybody there is quite thirsty, so we've got 13 cup holders, I think 7 USB ports. I mean, USB ports all around the cabin, but they're in places where it seems like, oh yeah, that's kind of handy. Look, Qi chargers are okay, but they make your phone really hot, and you can't use it while it's plugged in. So yeah, cord it, a plug in there, plug in here for the driver. You've got USB ports everywhere. I appreciate the interior design. I do like it. I've got a color head-up display just ahead of me. I've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen here, 12.3-inch screen here. The shapes are good, but most importantly, they're consistent with the exterior shapes. Everything in here makes sense. You can get in and you'll recognize all the familiar things. The Toyota, well, this is the Prius knob right here, look. And it just makes sense. I know how to operate it. It doesn't need to be anything more extensive than this. And same with your drive modes down here. So you've got Eco and Sport. Normal's right in the middle, that comfort button's right in the middle, so it makes sense. That's what good design is all about, and that's my perspective on this, is something that is easy to use. You can pick it up immediately. There's no owner's manual required. Just like your phone, you can just pick it up and start using it, and it just fits your life. No cops. Here we go. Full power. Ooh. Oh, aloha. This is good power. Pretty impressive from such a little engine. Okay, it moves decently. I can confirm. 362 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. You know, I wouldn't say it's slow. It's kind of weird seeing a Texas license plate in Hawaii, isn't it? Yes, it is. You know, I was thinking about trying to fill the back of the Grand Highlander with as many coconuts as I possibly could, but Kona is not the place to do that, apparently. So it's either got to be volcanic rock, which I'm sure Toyota would not appreciate, or coffee, which means I have to buy all the coffee, and I'm not going to do that. So you're just going to have to look at pictures, look at the video, and see how much space is back there. And yeah, it's impressive. This thing is super quiet. Acoustic windshield glass. Yeah. The new Toyota Grand Highlander. A great place to get laid. The resort that we're staying at has goats that eat the lawn out front. And last night at dinner, in the buffet line, they had goat cheese for your salad, and I was really hoping that the goat cheese, of course, came from those goats, but I was not so lucky. They're a thing here. The marketplace at Mount Alani, I think I pronounced that correctly, they're all about the goat logo. It's all about goat cheese and goat milk and goats, and you wouldn't think so driving in here, but there you go. Oh, there's the goats. Hello, goats. Here's the goats. Can you see the goats? They're walking on the volcanic rocks. See, they're eating. There's the goats. Told you, there's goats. Snorkel Bob's. I want to go to Snorkel Bob's.